All right. It says that we're live, so we are
We're
live.
live.
Yeah, we're
All
live.
right. Very nice.
Right. So we have Thomas and Max in the house. We do.
Hello.
Uh,
Hello, world.
Hello world. Exactly. So two guys trying to learn stuff, learn to
Yeah.
code. No, well, we know how to code, right?
One would like to claim that, yes.
I mean, they pay us money,
We are professionals.
of course. I mean,
Yes.
because yeah. So that's the definition, right? If they pay you money for something, that means that
You
you're
are
professional,
professional.
in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I recently took up baking as a hobbyist, and I was fortunate enough to know somebody that has a restaurant and they wanted bread. And so I started to bake for them, and they paid me money for it, which means that I am a at least semi-professional baker,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, so I'm a coder and a baker and some other
Very
stuff
good.
too, but
Mm-hmm.
beside the point. We are on a journey, right? We are on a journey to learn uh, or learn more rather about application state management in React.
Yes.
And yeah, we used Redux for it before. I mean, it's nothing new to us, but there is this new-ish, perhaps not new, but new to us package called uh, Redux Toolkit, right? I think it's called Redux Toolkit. So let's see if we can navigate to npm.js. I will share my screen in just a second. Here we go. Build amazing things. And let's see, Redux Toolkit. Redux Toolkit. Uh, not tool belt. Thomas, what are you doing? Sorry. Redux
Toolkit.
Toolkit.
Makes me wonder what the tool belt is. But yeah,
Yeah.
Toolkit. 7 days ago, it was
Yeah. 6 days ago.
uh, 6 days ago.
She says 6 days.
Right.
Last
Published. Does that
last.
mean that 1.8.2 was published, or that Redux Toolkit was
Well,
published?
they have
Probably.
51 versions.
Yeah.
So 8.2 was published 7 days or 6 days ago, or whatever you should. Yeah. Uh, Quite popular apparently, and so we can start learning it. We went through this README, but we should go through it again. But
Mm-hmm.
I went through it. I believe you went through it too. And uh, yeah, so I know that we have several hooks made available to us, like configure store, create reducer, create action, and so on and so forth. But I don't really, from based on this README, I can't really figure out how to get started. So we did find, didn't we find like a getting started kind of step-by-step thing here on the Redux Toolkit website? I think there was, well,
Yeah.
I think getting started sounds like a good place to get started. Yeah, let's try that. Right, right. So if we want to, and there are some instructions for us to use this with an existing app, and we have an existing app, right? We have a small app where built in React, where we basically interact. Yeah, we interact with the news API to fetch
Mhm.
some news articles.
Yeah.
Right.
And we have some application state going on using Redux, but the more, I guess, at this
Exactly.
point you can call it old school implementation, where we have file structure, and oh yeah, right there actually.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. So we're using. Yeah, well, let's start from the top. Let's see if we can get rid of this. And just go to package.json, and what we have here is basically that we installed Redux and we installed React Redux and set it up in a separate folder inside of the source folder that we call state, and we have a reducer that is called root reducer, and the only thing we're using it for is to grab the news feed, set it, and we also use it for storing a country code, because this application actually allows us to filter through what sort of, based on our geolocation, it can show us different articles. Right. And we have some tests for it written in. We'll use Cypress to test it. And there are basically 3 use cases covered in test. Visitor can see world news outside of Sweden, and I just spotted a small little thing here that is not following conventions. Feature.js, right. And this is also, and I wonder why that is, that we missed it. I think that this implementation is based on somebody else's initial work, but it doesn't really matter. Right. Git CI AM renames feature files. Right. Okay. So I'm just going to push this up. What I would like to do now is to basically branch off and create a new branch, and we will just call it Redux Toolkit, right? And so the idea would be for us to keep the tests intact, and I reckon we can remove the old implementation of Redux and re-implement it using the Redux toolkit.
Yeah. And I guess I have 2 questions that come to mind right away. If that's the goal, do we need to so we should check. I don't think we should change it, but we should check if any of the tests, the Cypress tests, actually accesses the store of the application and change anything. That would be interesting. And because I've forgotten, even if I have looked at this application before. And the second thing would be, instead of just deleting the store directory and the reducers directory, maybe we could rename them something nonsensical so that they don't get imported into the application. What do you think about that? Or do you think we should delete it all and then see?
Well, in principle, we can delete them because we are on a separate branch, right? So it doesn't really matter, kind of. Now, I totally agree that we should probably add a little bit of tests before we do anything else, to see if this store is actually being used by anything. And do you remember, quite often we use this hack where we add this window, we bind the store object to the Windows Store. And if you look at Cypress documentation, there's actually a variant of this, and what they say is they condition this to if the window is Cypress, then they bind it to not Cypress but Cypress. Sorry, Cypress. Oh, that's nice. If the window is
okay, so a little one-line conditional.
But I can't seem to be doing a ternary on this one. I'm sorry. Mea culpa. Let's back out of this. So I would just do an if statement, window Cypress, then we just bind this. This is more in line with what with documentation on Cypress.io. I sometimes do it in development without having this conditional, because for demo purposes, sometimes you need to spin up this application in your browser, and you just want to access this Windows Store anyway. But if you have this, then in principle you can you can write a test that looks something. If we do this, visitor can search for. Now let's go to this one. Visitor can see a collection of news items, right? So we have a before each block here. I don't know if I should make this a little bigger. So we have this before each block where we set up two interceptors, and then we visit the application, and then we grab two elements because we want to run tests against those two elements later on in our it blocks. But we could add an it block and say something like is expected to store news in well, store news in store, you know, to
store news in state.
In state, yeah, in
application state. Want to be extra fancy,
state, right? So we could say now ci.window and its store and we need to invoke the get state,
yeah,
right? And then we say should,
yeah,
and then we can run an assertion, and the question is get state should well, we could also always use deep equal,
yeah,
deep
but in
equal,
this
but then
in this part of the application,
well, on load we should have those Swedish news index. So the question is,
right, what is that called?
I wonder if I can say CI fixture and just grab this thing and just give it an alias as Swedish news, and then I could say should deep equal, I wonder if I can do this, at Swedish news. You understand my thinking?
Yeah.
So I read in the fixture and then I run an assertion that the store should equal Swedish news.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. So I'm just going to run this guy.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Always best to run it.
Right. Let's see where we are at. Starting the development server, Cypress open. Let's see. Which one is it? This is the visitor can see a collection, right? This is the one. Right. No, that wouldn't work. No, but I wonder if I can say this: const Swedish news equals, and then do this. Of course, I'm just gonna try this. You know, I hate leaving something. I got this thought, and I thought perhaps I can try. No, you see, it's not how you do it. Okay. I need to. So what can we test here if we can't really?
Well, I mean, I think we should peek inside the reducer on the initial state just to see what is the store actually going to look like. Is it wrapped in something that the fixture doesn't have? Is it, you know,
Right. Yeah. Um, let's see.
Because first it's got
Newsfeed. Newsfeed is an
news
array.
feed, and the
Uh,
news feed probably.
Newsfeed should be populated. Well, we could make it really easy for us.
Yeah.
Um, we could we say deep wiggle do right? So I need to check some documentation of that Cypress is using chai matchers, right?
Yeah.
So if we just go to chai matches and we go, for instance, to have deep members, to include, do we have anything about keys? Keys, right? To have all keys, right? That's we can use that because we could do a very simple test to say to have all keys, and the keys should be news feed and country code. Right. So let's get rid of this for now.
Yeah.
And let's see. Yeah. So that passed. So we can run that. What else could we do that is interesting? To be an object that has all keys.
And go back to your Cypress browser. It looks like maybe we should have it gets country code SE, but then the newsfeed at the time where it calls get state is still an empty array. You could maybe do there's an alternative to CY wait, but since we have aliases, you could maybe do a CY wait and wait for one of the one of the intercepts.
Yeah.
Or I guess we haven't named them, but it's not very much work to give them a little name.
Let's just call it initial feed.
Yeah.
Feed.
And the only reason I'm suggesting this would be to
let's try that first. This one, right?
Yeah.
Right. So let's try that.
I'm just curious to see if
but it doesn't display it.
Right. Okay. So you get this kind of.
Yeah.
So before it was displaying an empty array, which I guess is the initial state. But it's interesting. Yeah. So you get this object.
Right. So that's
yeah.
So
I mean, if you have all keys, you can probably do have all values or have values.
Yeah, but the problem with have all values would be that I need to reactivate this guy. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And it's not a bad idea, but it's a little bit out of scope for us, right? Yeah. So let's just.
It's easy to get stuck.
So he's expected to store. Well, perhaps we should do that actually, because otherwise this test is more of a. It's more of a component test rather than.
Yeah.
Well, it's still borderline, but let's let's have a look. What else can we say? To have all keys. To have all keys.
You're in the keys section. If you go to
match, no property.
Property maybe.
Should we say length? Let's have a length of. You know what? To have.
Yeah, you could check the length maybe of the first object and see if it's the same length as we have in the fixture file.
Right, and you know what? Let's go to keys and we say to deep equal, but there can we look for a specific key? Expect to have key be because what we're saying it's the get state have shoot. Because I want to look at the key. The only key I'm want to look at is the news feed. So should we say it's news feed? Do you understand?
Oh, can you?
And then should have length 20.
Oh,
do you understand?
Yeah, no, I understand. It's new feed. Yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. Let's find out.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. All right, so it recognizes it as an array. That's excellent.
Yeah. Well, this is good because now
yeah,
we can replicate this in all our tests if we want, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter. But well, it could matter, right? To store 20 news. Okay, so we can say 20 news items. And it's a little bit of a magic number here, right? Because I know that this call fetches 20, and you know that, but somebody else might not know it. No, let's stick to this one. It's enough with this one. If we have this one, and we remove Redux, then this one will fail, of course, right? Yeah. Right. Okay, good. So let me just stop this. Oops. Let's stop this. Git status. And we modify this, right? So git CIAM adds spec for application state storage of news items. Right, that's enough. And I will push this up to myself, and you can pull it down, and you can be in charge of getting rid of Redux.
Breaking everything.
Break everything. Just lock yourself out.
I want to switch over to my screen. There we go. So of course I start off by doing a git fetch on Thomas. The reason I do that is so that it loads in the fact that there's a new branch. It doesn't load it into my machine, but I know about it now, so I can do track flag for my git checkout, meaning I don't have to type anything. Right, so let's open up that in our code editor. And right, so we
check the version of Node you were running on, so we don't get any surprises with Cypress.
Yeah. So I actually did this before, but nvm list. Not only am I running 16, I reset my default to
awesome
to be 16, which means all my cute little node hacks I was using are gone, but I can reinstall them.
Ouch! Yeah, of course, right.
Yeah, that's
well, that's the name of the game, you know.
That's the name of the game. That's yeah.
And so, for those of you who wonder what the hell we're talking about, is that so I was running Node 17, and you were running Node something older, right? You were going older.
Yeah.
And so, for some reason, there's a sweet spot here. Like Cypress, the way we run it, and for that you're gonna have to check out the package JSON, but we run it together with start server and test package. It just hung when I was on 17 and when you were on older, and so we had to normalize that, and we're running the same version of Node, which is, to be honest, probably the smartest way to approach things. So like if you pair program on a project, you should probably have the same Node version always.
But our work is cut out for us here because
if you take a look at line 26 in package JSON, you see that I changed it, so it only says start test and start silent and then colon 3000. Yeah.
I knew about start test. Start test is start server and test.
Yeah, it's an alias, right?
Yeah.
And the
this is very nice.
This one is also an alias for HTTP localhost 3000.
Yeah.
So it's shorter, and shorter is neater usually.
Yes. And there's 3000. Okay. Yeah. This is very nice. So I guess the question is,
Yeah, let's
you know,
break
we
some.
have React Redux and we have Redux here. Should I manually
remove both
remove?
of them. We will reinstall at least React Redux, but let's remove everything.
Yeah. So I removed those two. And then inside of source, there is a directory called state, which has a reducer where all the two reducers are stored, and the configure store.
Perhaps it's. I'm thinking about
There's,
what you just said a minute or two ago. If we should remove it, or if you just should call it like state_old or something.
yeah.
Yeah, let's do that first.
Well, let's do this first. Yeah, state_old and mixing. No, actually, no, that's fine.
That does.
So we should get a lot of nice warnings when I run yarn Cypress.
Well, you probably need to.
Do I need to delete yarn lock and do yarn again now that we've messed around in package.json?
You know what? I think that you don't have to do. You can run this interactive upgrade.
Oh, that's an interesting thing. So I'm going to run yarn upgrade interactive. I'll try the latest. We'll see what happens with that. Because it is
again, this is also something we learned about yesterday.
Oh, all my dependencies are up to date. But I'm curious, if I now run just yarn upgrade, it might get rid
I wonder if it's enough if you just run yarn, actually.
Let's find out.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah. All those warnings, huh?
Semantic, yeah, well, React scripts.
I wonder why that is. Why would he bother with installing that? Building fresh. Okay.
That was
right.
Okay. Well, the log file, the log file has gotten some.
Yeah.
Say at least. So you know.
Let's run.
Right. So let's just run yarn Cypress and see it.
See it.
Hopefully, I mean, let's see if it compiles first of all. Let's see.
It shouldn't even compile.
No, I don't think it should either because we have.
We're requiring stuff that
we're trying to We're trying to import things that it's no longer where we said it was.
I was just about to say something that I have no clue if it's relevant, but it might be that because we're not using TypeScript that could potentially compile, but then error out when we run it. But I don't know if that has anything to do with TypeScript or not. So I find this Chai assertion library that I was using quite useful, and I wish that they had more documentation about matchers in Cypress documentation rather than having to, because you have to go a little creative when you do things.
It's much nicer too.
But that, you see what happens on your screen? It errors out on certain, but it still compiles the whole application. It starts it, which is weird.
And I have the options to run these tests now. The one we want to run, right, is see a collection of news items.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're curious.
That was the one that was passing. Yeah.
Errors. We would like to know more. And did we get anything? Probably not. No.
This should.
I guess I could have gone.
Yeah.
Right. Cannot find module React.
Yeah.
So of course.
Right. Coolish.
Coolish. Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you commit and continue? You know, because having you break stuff is I feel bad about just forcing you to break shit and then
protect my GitHub record.
Oh well, we've all broken lots of.
And let's call this well, I have to give a shout out to my, no, not you. I have to give a shout out to my favorite emoji, which actually has an emoji for failing test. So we're going to spiffy up our message here, put a little test tube and say work in progress, and removes React, Redux, Redux renames store directory. Okay, and I have the right to push directly to Thomas because he's opened a pull request.
No, I have not on this one.
No, you have not. You
Let's
just
try.
gave me the right to push.
I don't know.
Wow, so nice. You're so trusting.
I don't know if I have. Just hit it and see what's up.
It worked.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Okay.
we're friends, you know. So yeah.
No, push it to me too, so I just have it for.
All right. So from what I understand, the first thing we need to do is to yarn add. We want to do, you know, Redux.js/toolkit at Redux.js.
Yeah, Redux. But is it Redux.js or just at Redux?
It says here Redux.js.
Okay.
And on.
In just all small letters, no weird casing. It's okay.
No casing. No.
Right. And then
toolkit, and then as a space, and apart from that, we need to add what we just removed, which is React Redux. That stays the same. You know, so the bridge between Redux and React is still React Redux.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that changes.
So we're not installing Redux itself. It's all in Toolkit.
No, it's exactly. So all right, just hit that one.
All right. Let's see how long that takes.
Okay, and then if we right, if we want to follow the same convention, the question is if we want to do that. We could create a subfolder in source called state. I think we can do that.
Let's see.
The one that we just renamed to state old, we can just create a new one that is called state.
Do we even need a directory for it?
So according to the very basic setup in their instructions, they don't use it. They just create, you know, in source
file. Yeah.
Well, they do say that you should create a new file in source app store.js. I don't really understand it, why you should use app. So but they just use yeah, I don't know what you think.
I guess I'll call it store because
state.
The state, sorry.
Yeah. And yeah, and just create and just create store.js in the. And so we want to import from this Redux.js toolkit a module called configure store. That's the first one.
Configure store, and I'm just going to click on that. And oh, look at that!
Good stuff.
Pretty good, huh?
That it is. And so, and this doesn't really follow my own convention, but what they say is that export constant store, and that would equal configure store. Right, and in there you just open as an argument, you just have an object, and there you just say reducer colon an empty object to start with.
That's
right. Okay, and so I reckon that you need to import this store. If you go to your index.js, you need to import that one.
Right.
And so you can comment out line 6.
Yeah, let's comment that out. And the provider is
the provider
still
stays the
provider,
same. Yeah.
You know, that's here,
but
store.
Yeah, so you need to import this store that you just created.
Yeah, but it's going to be called
store. Line 3
okay.
exports store, right?
Right, of course. Right. So I wonder, is it smart enough to do this? I'm going to guess. Oh, yeah, look at that.
No?
No, look at line 6 now.
Oh, there you go. Okay,
so
cool.
this I got for free. It imports store. It's using the destructor,
Yeah,
which means we don't have to export default, which you can't do with a const anyway.
yeah.
Not that way anyway. So now we should have this object window.store, right?
Yeah.
And
So now you can run this test. It will still fail, but it should give you another error message.
Compounded some problems. It's only one error here, and it's in the new service JS, and it's state store configure store, of course.
Oh yeah. So you're gonna have to change those new services to the same line of code.
Yeah. Let's head over to news. Oh, it's a module. Apologies, new service. Right. So you now you're going to be an object, of course, and it should just be state and store. Don't you think?
I think so. Right. Format and see if it. Yeah, it should work.
And let's, without touching anything, just going to go straight back to the test, reload, and see one change, rerun the test. And now we're getting, cannot read properties undefined map. So that's in a component. I assume.
Yeah, because you see, we are in our initial setup, we assumed that news items, or what was news feed, I think we called it, was an empty array. You can news feed. You can always iterate over an empty array.
You can do map on empty, and that doesn't complain.
So
but now we don't have that.
Yeah. So go back to this.
Store.js, right?
Well,
yes, okay.
Not really. You know what? Okay, so according to the documentation, if you look at my screen for a sec.
Yeah.
So we did this, right? Which is the store.js. So we're good on that one. And then provide a Redux store to React, which is exactly what we do. We have this here, and we are telling the provider. But now they want us to create a Redux state slice. Remember, we spoke briefly about this before we sat down. And this is a little bit of a new concept to me. But in one way, in another way, it isn't, because we could have, kind of sliced our reducer into several reducers and then combine them inside of the root reducer, which we rarely did in training. When we demo this for students. But let's do that. Let's go to add a new source, and they call it features, which is not a bad name because it's a feature of the application, right? Perhaps we could call it feature. So create a new subfolder, but not directly in source, but rather in the state folder, right?
All right. So
and then call it newsslice.js. If we want to use that name.
I
think
that's fine. Yeah.
It is, I guess, right?
I guess. I mean, we can always change.
Right. And here we need to import a module called create slice from Redux.js toolkit.
There it is. So I have this autocomplete. I get create slice with the destructor from Redux.js toolkit.
Okay. And then we create a constant called initial state.
Initial state.
And it's an object. And then you say newsfeed and set it to an empty array. It's a colon. It's
of course.
Right. Okay. And then apparently we need to export a constant that is called news slice.
So
export const
news slice.
And that would be equal to create slice.
Oh, right. Does that take it?
And it's an object. And
Okay.
here's a source of confusion for me. If you look at my screen briefly.
Yeah.
So it has a name.
Uh-huh.
And then it has this initial state, which will be the,
Right.
or should we call the initial? So here's the deal, because it says value 0, right? Right. So should we call it? Should we call the name? Should the name be newsfeed, and then the value could be like items, or perhaps values items? It should be plural somehow, right? Because that will hold the articles, wouldn't it?
Agreed.
Right. So let's change this line 4 from newsfeed to items. Right. And then here you give it a name, and that would be as a string newsfeed. Right. And then comma, and then you just say initial state, because I don't really see a reason why we should have it as a separate constant, but never mind now. And then comma, and then you say reducers.
Well, I don't have to set initial state.
No, because it is an object itself, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And then you say reducers, and that would be an object too. And here we will set some reducer, right? Some reducers. The question is, we could call it, we can just call it set, for instance, and a colon, and that would be an arrow function with one argument, state. State and action, sorry, state and action, 2 arguments.
Yeah.
Right, and here we will say state dot items plus equal action payload. Right. Yes. And look at this documentation here now.
Yeah.
Because, so this is what we've done so far, in my opinion, right? But here we have this thing with action creators are generated for each case reducer function. So we could export constant and then set, and that would be, because we only have one action in our reducer, right? So set equals new slice dot actions, but we could also say export default. Apart from that, we will say export default new slice dot reducer. You done with that?
Yeah.
So let's start with the first one. Export const, and then no equal, just an object.
Oh, right, of course.
And you just say set, because that's what we and that is equal to new slice dot actions, and then you also export default new slice dot reducer. Right.
Reducers, which I misspelled. Did you notice that?
Oh, you did.
Reducers. So there we go.
Right.
Enter.
But whoa. Here's a funny thing, because what they say here is, so it is reducers up here, but you export an reducer.
Whoa.
In singular. And at this stage, I gotta say, it feels like we're doing too much, right? You remember, I have this demo, or used to have this demo, Redux as simple as it gets, and I like to do things incrementally, just one thing at a time. And at this stage, it feels like I understand the initial state, I don't mind that. There's a little bit of confusion versus this name and the action creators. or the reducers. I understand what's going on in the set action that we created, but I don't really understand why we export on line 7, on 17, and 19. Do you understand?
Yeah.
It feels weird.
It does feel weird.
We don't have to understand everything from scratch.
Yeah. Well, let's get it working, and then we can critique it.
Gotcha. Now, if you pay attention, I want you to navigate back to the store.js file, because apparently this is where we will tie or connect things to each other, right? So I want you to import the new slice in this store.js. Good. And then on reducer,
yeah,
we want to say news or news feed, or well, let's call it just news, and colon, and just say news slice. Right. Yeah, that's apparently what we need to do. No comma on that. Well, you can have a comma, of course.
It's
yeah.
That was from my code formatting.
Gotcha. All right, and okay, so back to documentation. Okay, so use Redux state in actions and actions in React components. So this is a component. They call it features. Never mind their naming conventions, right? But you say now you can use the Redux hooks in React components to interact with Redux store. We can read data from the store with use selector and dispatch using use dispatch. So that stays the same apparently.
Yeah.
So we create this counter JSX, we use JSX, and we have that already. So we can do that on which file? Where can we use it? We can use it on components.
Yeah, but is
there anywhere we use selector here on use?
Here's use selector, yeah.
Right. And here's the problem. Will that?
It's going to look at state and look for newsfeed.
Okay, so you know what we're going to do? Here's the deal. Just fire up Cypress and open up DevTools, and we can have a closer look at this window object, because we are storing this. We're binding the store.
Yeah.
Let's see if it even though it loads.
Just more curious. It's still getting this. It's still getting that initial state, isn't
right? Okay. But could you open up console, clear it, and see? But it hasn't visited anything, I guess. So if you just do Windows Store, you shouldn't see anything.
No, I was surprised. Right. These.
No, that won't fly. Okay, let's go back to app.jsx.
Don't you think that
we should be able to set a debugger somewhere before it even?
Yeah. Here we're grabbing use dispatch, and then we're calling it here on 27.
Yeah. They probably deal with dispatch differently than we do before. But you know what? Set
because right now set country code, and the other one, they don't mean anything, right?
No,
like we don't
they don't. So let's just set a debugger on after line 9 on top of this component, and we'll see if that will help us in any way. There it is. Good. Yeah. And now you should probably be able to do window.store in your console.
Look at that.
Right.
And so we have something called news in there.
Right. And that's because, where did we set the news name?
We set that inside, sorry, not in modules, but in the actual, we set you here? No, we set you in the store.
Right. So call this news feed.
Yeah.
Right. And reload that, and we'll see.
We'll reload.
Okay.
And we're back in the debugger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, comes as no surprise. What's
Right.
interesting
Which is not
now?
bad, but then it's items. Do you understand, right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
right. So that's not a bad thing. I think if you go back to
Mm.
your app.jsx, let's see, where was this? No,
This
that's not
patch,
it.
but
You can remove this debugger now, and you just go
yeah,
over to news index.
that makes sense. That's where you would do
Yeah,
there's the
newsfeed,
map. There's newsfeed. So
newsfeed.items.map. That's what we want to do.
yeah, let's try
And
that.
yeah, let's try that.
No safe navigation operators, which we really shouldn't need. Hey,
Boom. What a
very nice. Okay.
okay. So bad. Why would you get a bad request?
Well, that
Because you don't have. Yeah. I know why. I know why. Because we don't have the country code setting yet. So um, you have to go back to yeah.
yeah.
We have to create another slice,
Okay. Yeah.
for country.
But
Yeah,
so we need let's create the
country codes.
country
Country.
slicer.
Is that good? Is that the right spelling of country?
No, it's not. Um, um, but is it slice or slicer?
Slice.
Slicer.
Slice.
I'm
Right.
gonna cheat just at the
Let's
back.
repeat those.
Yeah, so first create slice. That makes sense that you would need it when you're creating a
Right,
slice.
and then the initial state.
Yeah, and that was just a regular const. Do I have to
Yeah,
export it?
const.
Um,
We can probably simplify a lot of this later, but let's stick to the and just
right.
say just call it call it code actually, code, and set it to SV. Right. And now export constant and then country code slice
Code slice. And that
equals
was
create slice,
oh yeah, right. Create slice.
an object, and then you give it a name.
Yeah.
And you just call it country code, I guess.
And then we say initial state. And then we say reducers in plural.
And you do another set, I guess, and state action.
Set.
It's an arrow function with two.
Oh yeah, right.
State and action.
Probably like it. State and action. Thank you.
And just say state value plus equal action state code. I mean. Right.
Well, it should not be plus equals. It should
Yeah.
just be
What was I
equals.
thinking? Just equal, and the same thing on the other one. I got a brain freeze because
the same with the other one you get a pass because it's an array. Maybe you want that to be array.
It's an equal
so let's
to, right?
Just equals
Just
to.
equal. Yeah.
And just equals to.
Yeah,
but I'm not quite done yet. This feels so alien. That's funny because the mechanics great, but
right.
when you get used to something.
So we want to export those counters like the country codes slice actions. So we just
country code slice.
Export const.
Const. And this is
as
an
object set. Right. No, just set first.
Oh, set.
And then outside equal
right.
Country code slice dot actions. Right, and then the default export would be the country code reduce.
Country code slice dot reducer singular.
Yeah, and at this stage, my friend, I am not overly impressed with the simplicity of the whole thing. I think we're writing more code than before to be 100%
maybe,
honest.
I mean, our function here, the actual reducer was just, the
Yeah.
only thing it was doing was storing a value in the application state. If you have something that has to do way more, but you need it to be specific to that
Yeah.
slice of the pie, maybe this is better.
Right.
But I'm kind of with you. But before we judge them mercilessly,
Yeah.
let's at least rerun this.
Right. Let's no. Before you run it, you have to go to the store.js
Yeah.
to actually import this new
Right,
slice.
yeah. So let's do that. Hey, I also want country code slice, and I need to say, hey,
Country
there's
code.
another reducer. Call it country code, and country code slice.
Right. Yeah. Let's see what that does for us.
Well, probably. Well, again, we made a change. We run the test. That's okay. But I think we still run into some problems because we need to.
Because
we need to do the same dot items, right?
Yeah.
So
no. Well,
here,
I think we're still on index.js, news index.jsx.
Yeah. No, sorry. The news item. No. So this is now we need to move to maybe the app.jsx.
Yeah.
And look at the dispatch here. Well.
Get busy. Hold on. Let's read this through. No. Okay. We can't dispatch because we need to include. Yeah. No. But you were in the right place. App.jsx. That's where we do.
Yeah.
Okay. So we need to. If you look at my screen for just a second,
yeah,
and here's a problem because we used to set the same name on the reducer. So you know what? Because we need to import those actions, those action creators. So what I want you to do is to head over to the country code slice, and change the name from set to set code, set country code.
Oh, okay.
And just export that set country code.
And that should be good.
And then in your app.jsx, I want you to import this. So right. And so instead of on line 28, 29, and 30, 31, just comment it out. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And here we want to say set country code.
Set country code.
Yeah, that's the action.
And it's going to be country location dot country, isn't it?
Country location dot code. No.
Or is it dot?
Country underscore code. It's like right there on line 30.
It's right there on line 30. Country. Okay. Yes. Country code.
Right.
So
and at this at this stage we have a lot of naming convention bumps, right? Because we're using local state here, and application state in this particular component, it's shitty code, but we can live with that.
Yeah.
Right, and get country. Right, and I think countries. Yeah, I think we should be good on. At least we should change the error message.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow. That is different.
Right.
But I don't.
Because we're waiting for initial feed. Okay, so let's throw some debuggers around, okay?
Yeah.
Let's go to where you just were on Yeah, let's
on
put a
this user
debugger
file?
before line 32. Let's set a debugger there and see if it kicks in.
Yeah, because that's
There it is. Okay, so just take a look at country location if we actually got answer from the service. Yeah, we did.
sure.
Good. And which means that the country or a country underscore code should also work, right? Okay, so we got that. So back to the code just to take a look at it. So the only difference now is that the question is if this action actually works. So try to just execute this action in your, yeah.
Country code. Did I misspell set country code? I mean, I imported it.
No, it is defined.
So set country code, and that is what it's called.
Okay, let's see. You're in the debugger, so let's do Windows Store, and
yeah,
just Windows Store. Do not get stages to store.
Yeah,
and just see if in dispatch get state. No, now that's the same thing as we always had.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really. And see if you can open up dispatch, but the dispatch is just.
Yeah, I mean it's just.
No, that's not it. Dispatch is use dispatch. Right. Dispatch. Oh, mea culpa. Go back.
What'd you find?
It's right here. It's right here. You need to dispatch this action, of course.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So that's an app.jsx. And
yeah, so you just do on line 33, you say dispatch. And use this, just pass in the set country code. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Now you can remove the debugger or comment to that. Of course. Oh, gosh. But the initial feed is not okay. We need to do the same thing with the feeder, of course. We are calling that. Let's see where the news feed is being invoked. If you go back to your
right.
So at this point, yeah. Let's see. Set location, news feed.
Sure. So it's not here. I mean, it's got to be an app.jsx then.
Yeah.
Because here we do something called get position. We set location, get country code. Do we ever? Location, set country now. Okay.
Where the hell are we doing that?
Where is it? I mean, look, there are modules, right? That is
yeah, but where is this module being?
Which
news? In new search, yes. Yeah. It's a new search ESX.
Because it's searching for. Okay, sure.
No, that's not it either. News. Oh, well.
There's some funky stuff going on, but here it's invoking the news. Okay, wait.
But okay. God.
Blah, blah, blah. Newsfeed item. It's getting something. It's getting newsfeed from the stick.
It's too
news card. Does
too much shitty code in this.
No. And news search. So in my mind, when you fire up app.jsx, wow. What's the module called? News service. That's not going to help me. News service. It's used in news search. It's used in the actual module. Okay, so it's only in 2 files and it's new search. So new search has to be it, right?
Yeah. New service index. Right. Yeah. You need to go into the new service JS, and you need to.
Right. Instead of saying use dispatch, but it doesn't, right?
No.
It
To go into.
uses.
Yeah. Exactly. So this is the only place where we use this.
Yeah.
So go to the new service.
Yeah.
And you need to import the store from the. You already do that.
That's the only thing I did, but I didn't actually change. Look, right?
But you need to import the get news feed. Oh, you did that.
No, we need to change some things here, right? Because we're just
here, right? Exactly. On line 25, you need to dispatch get news feed and just the payload. This is same thing as what you do in on line 14, basically. But no. Yes. But you have to import that action. You are importing.
Yeah, but I got it for no, did I not get it? No. Oh, get newsfeed is a custom function.
Yeah, just remove that. That's an action. That's I'll comment it out. And
so what I need to import is
set.
The way of setting. So set. No, that's not what it's called.
It is just called set.
Oh, it's just called set, right?
Yeah. Which is a shitty name, but
yeah, that's okay. So if I just do set, will it find it? Oh wow, that's cool. And so here inside of, I can just say, hey, set. It's really weird. And like this, so. Right.
But you also need to change that on line 14 now. Instead of get newsfeed, just change the get newsfeed to set. We can probably rename it to set newsfeed or something, whatever. But I think this. Okay.
It's just wrapped in something.
We could set a debugger in that new service on the index, right? Just before the right there.
Okay. So
see if it even hits it, you know.
Suspense is killing me. There we go.
Yeah, so now I wonder why this wait is erroring out, because the wait has already happened. Do you understand? Right.
That's a good question.
Yeah, if you go to your code for a sec. Right, because the wait is already, it is line 13.
Yeah.
That's what we are waiting for. Just double check that on that test file.
So this is where you can see a collection of news items. And we say as initial feed for this here intercept.
Yeah, and it's top headlines, but it's checking for country SE. That's right. That's why this is not happening, because we're not fetching. Right. Yes. Go to news search.
Yeah.
And check what is it that we are sending into country. Yeah, search query and country. You see line 8 is not proper.
Right.
Right, so we have to split this into 2 lines. Search query.
Really, we can't use...
Well, first of all, we don't have search query yet anywhere.
No, we don't.
And so country code. Oh shoots. How do we right, so the use selector, we need to say that the country code, so remove the curlies. Yeah, comment out one of them first. Right, okay, remove the curlies and remove the search query, and here we need to say state dot, so the country code will be you select a state from state dot, and what was it we called? We called it state dot country code.
Argument for the callback, or
No, the
no, the actual,
yeah, country code, and then what was it? Was it code or value? What did you call it in the slicer?
man, where are you? Country code slice. It's code.
Yeah.
Code. And I've already forgotten. Was that the service? No,
No,
the
component.
Search.
The search. Code.
Yeah.
Right. So let's do that first.
But I probably should get rid of search query here.
Yeah, for now. Oh. Right. And just release it. And
oh no, we're in the second test, and we got the same error.
Right. Put an dot only on one of the tests, so
yeah,
we don't run the whole
thing. Will.
But the search query, right? The search query. We need to create a new query set. Why did I? Right.
Waiting for the initial feed. And oh no, we're defaulting. We should default to Sweden.
Yeah.
And are we
search?
So when we do this, we're grabbing the country code. Is this the way to? Is this really the way to do it?
Yeah. Yeah. You can set a debugger and you should be good. You should see that the country code is SV at this point. Oop.
Z. Debugger.
Yeah, I
load. And we are in the right one, so country code, what are you, SV?
Yeah. So we're good on that. We actually got that, right? So that's that. But you see, if you just look at my screen for a second without your changes, right?
Yeah.
I am not quite, this is some, I haven't looked at this file. Yeah, disclaimer, this is legacy, like big time.
Yeah.
So this needs to, the 9, 10, 11, 12 needs to go. But also, I'm importing use dispatch, which is also weird. And also, where the hell, what is search query? Are we, you see, I apparently, because I have this query in local state, right? So why would I use search query, and where is that being set in state? You see, we never use it anywhere. Do you see?
You have it.
We don't set it. We don't have it in the initial state in the old implementation. I mean, you understand?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we can just forget about search query right now, right?
I like it.
Which is what you did too, right? So you don't have it anymore. Okay. So, and are you still in that debugger in your runner?
Sure am.
Right. So just check what store is just for the. No. You can check just store actually.
Oh, right. We have the hack.
No, because you are in that debugger. You are in that service. So you have this. And if you just get state, and the country code is this and this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's step forward. Don't release it. Just step forward. Right, and
So
step 4, because the country code.
now the news service index should have run, though I don't know what it means when you sort of get caught
Right.
in the.
Let's check state again. Well, has it run? I see. I'm not sure that it has run.
No. Let me go forward one more. No, I guess. But
if the country code says query. Right. If you know what, set this use effect to.
I have too many things open. Yeah.
You know what? Go to app. Sorry. To the component, the search, and just empty this. Empty the dependencies list on this use effect. We want to run this index action immediately. Right. Let's run this now. But I wonder why this was working before. I can't really figure it out. It was so long time ago we wrote this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Release the debugger.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Time to commit. You've been sweating too long. So
Yeah.
I will close this down.
And we'll say adds partial implementation.
Partial implementation, yes.
Oh, Redux Toolkit. Boom, and I can push straight to you.
Yeah.
Thomas, Redux Toolkit. And we can switch over.
All right. Let's see. Just that was a painful experience so far. Let's see if we could get this. I mean, you know, it's always like this. Once you've learned stuff, we will think that this was ridiculously easy, probably.
Of course. But, not there yet.
Right. So the new service, we're missing a dependency, country code. Right. Right. Because when we set this, right. Let's. Oh, I need to run yarn, of course, because you just added this. Yeah, of course. I was almost forgot. Right. Let's run Cypress. And, you know, if anybody is watching us, we use Cypress extensively. And I'm not going to preach test-driven or test-enhanced development. Preach, I can preach. Yeah, so basically what happens is that it is so much more productive and almost pleasant to work with developing new features or refactoring your code or doing whatever when you have tests, so you don't have to manually do a lot of stuff. So I would encourage everyone to get into test-driven or test-enhanced development. Test-enhanced, I like that, because you see, we not necessarily drive our development with tests right now. We're just making life easier for ourselves using tests. And we will be talking much more about testing in our streams. So yeah. Look, the result returns some data, and we have 20 articles, right? We know that. Good. So this works. So now result data articles is that array of 20 articles, and we want to dispatch.
Why is it stored?
Because because we are importing.
Oh, right.
Because we're in the service, right? Okay. So usually you use, you know, if you want to hook this, you need to be in a component. We are not in a component, right? So the store dispatch. And yeah, okay, I think I got it. Because in the news index. Right, here we go. Right,
Ah,
right, here it is.
tricky. But how did it?
Right. Let's see. Let's be bold. Let's remove this this debugger. Let's
Yeah.
remove this debugger.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you very much.
That is a different error.
What is there?
You cannot get
Map, of course. Yeah. So we
Yeah.
got it. We got it. I was just too eager because I thought I was so smart.
Right. So now you don't have to do newsfeed.items.
Right.
But it might still.
Hey.
Oh, look at that. Very nice.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and the only thing we need to fix now is it's newsfeed. Can I do dot items? Can I do this?
Ooh.
I don't know. Yay, I can do that. Wow.
What?
Whoa.
That's some serious chaining. Well done.
Wow. We
and,
are. Yeah.
But, you know, before you, you know, as we say in Swedish, don't yell out hello before you cross the bridge.
Gosh, I don't think that works in American English or English English.
So you gotta get rid of the dot only. Yeah, you're already on it. Oh, look at that.
Look at that.
All right. You can yell out hello now.
Hello. Yeah. Yeah, it's ropa inte hej. Yeah, don't yell hi. Yeah.
Yeah, it really doesn't work in English.
That's
okay.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. But you have to run the other tests too, buddy. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know.
And then
let's we stop this. Well, we have some issues, I guess. There will be probably because we don't have the search yet. Or do we? Oh, well, it is passing. No, there it is.
But I think that's a false. I mean, I saw there is a part of the test that fills out the search bar.
So the test that was just passing for us is failing for us at the moment.
Well, look, it's trying to do. Really? Charming.
Initial. Let's have a look at the initial feed. What? If I rerun it, do you think it will pass?
I hope not.
Oh my god. I hate when this shit happens.
Oh my god, rerun it again.
Oh.
We'll never be able to recreate it. Let's see. Here we go. Nope.
Oh. Yeah, well, you know, and this kind of, you know, for anybody who cares, this is the worst case of errors when you run tests, right? I remember back in the days when we were running Cucumber with Selenium or with Puppeteer, and you could get all sort of shit. I remember we have this fairly large test suite on a website, everything written in Qs, and so we had to add a script that on our continuous integration, if you had n amount of tests that were failing on the first run, you store them in a text file, then you rerun just those files. And we actually had to have 3 runs of tests. And, you know, certain tests that were failing on the first run, they passed on the second, but we had some others failing, and then they passed on the third one, which is like a damn nightmare, to be honest. But anyway.
Wow.
Right.
I mean, maybe this is the range, act, assert, and then abolish or abrogate that you have to really clean up after each test. Maybe I don't know.
But let's have a look. So we have one warning on the new search. New search. We are not using use dispatch, so we're going to get rid of that.
Can you just delete the comments too?
And we're going to delete the comments. Right.
That's much nicer.
Okay. We can get rid of the old store thingy.
Yep.
So we're gonna delete that one.
Yeah.
Let's have a
But
look at the store.
will you poke around? Because don't we have a dispatch somewhere that's still using the old nomenclature of calling something by a string instead of a...
Yeah, let's have a look at that.
And
we do not.
no, okay.
Well, but we
Yeah.
shouldn't we? On the country service.
Yeah. Mhm.
No. Okay. All right. So here's the deal. First of all, this API key should
It's now
be
exposed
here.
again.
So actually, I'm just gonna change that. I know that we
Yeah.
shouldn't do it. I can regenerate them, but just for good practice, right? So
Yeah.
let's get rid of this, and then we say process.env dot react app open cage API key. Let's call it that. And so we will go into the .env file,
I
and
really
we will
want to regenerate.
react app OC API key. We're gonna set that, and we're also gonna say we're just gonna use this URL. I mean, URLs are not sensitive in any way, of course. But let's just follow convention.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna copy this guy. And then we're just gonna be lazy as hell.
I like lazy.
Right. So we should be good on that. So the difference between this service and the new service is that the country service doesn't. It only returns the component, the country component from OpenCage API, whereas the news service queries the news API and actually stores it in state, which is what it is. But now I'm gonna change this set to set news items, news items, and I'm gonna. So what we could do, we could say import set as set news item. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So you can rename it here, and this should work. Right. But in my opinion, we should actually rename it in. Oh well, I thought it. No, well, this is not the error. This is one of the random ones. What? Okay, so perhaps this wasn't working. Why is this failing now?
France. I mean, that can, you have something to do with OpenCage and just changing the.
No,
is it processed?
It must be the news service. Let's just change that. Okay. Country service. Where is that?
So that's in state features.
Right.
Expand features. New slice.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's out to get you.
Oh my God. Cannot read property of. Yeah, no. Oh. What the. Items. What the heck? Oh God. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay. Let's just reset this. All right, because I'm just curious of what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think that the error originates from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, can it be from the .tnb configuration we just did? Is it process dot? I mean, not that should.
Yeah.
In
What?
the actual module.
News. Process and.
Yeah.
Is it because I have to, you know what it could be? Could it be that the application is already stopped? No, that shouldn't be that. Let me do a.
Yeah, let's kill the server. And
No, now it works. When I did the hot, no, it didn't. Okay, let's kill the
no.
server. Could it be that?
I mean, I don't know. It is possible that if you save something in the as an environmental variable, you
Yeah.
need to
Yeah.
to restart it on the
Yeah.
server, but we'll find out.
Those small things, right? Let's see if this is.
Yeah, it can be incredible.
So let's just run this one first. No. No, it is that. It was that.
Okay.
So let's run the whole thing.
Yeah, let's.
And let's do that renaming again then. Because that is actually application. It's not. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, okay. Right.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So well, I learned something about.
Yeah.
About React and its.
Right. So let's new service, and here I can just do this. Right. Set news. Right. And then we just go to the slicer, which is this one, and we just do this and this, and we should be good.
Nice. Yeah. Are you getting any warnings about?
Yeah, we got some warnings.
Consoles.
Okay, so these are just because we're using fixtures, and those fixtures are fetching images, and we can't do that sometimes.
Right, okay.
So we just get those forbidden. So we are good.
Yeah.
We should be good.
I mean, it feels pretty complicated.
Right, yeah, let's dissect this. Okay, well, actually, let's just make a commit.
Yeah.
And
yeah, we push it up so I can have it in front of me as well.
Yeah.
I want to.
Right, we deleted some stuff. All right, so git ci am, and I'm just gonna do code cleaning and renaming of action creators, whatever, right? Right. Okay, so now you can push this down if you want. Pull this down, sorry. Right.
Right. So I'm going to start with the positive, and then we'll try to balance it out at the end.
Okay, so I like this. This is more like a combined reducer. So that's what we did back in the days. We combined reducers. What I don't like with it is that, see, I like flat objects. I don't know if I'm just being obnoxious, but here, but well, to be honest, the reason why I often used everything in one single reducer was because I like the flat object that is not grouped by features or by domain or parts of the application, and so that's why I often use one single reducer. There's a downside with that because it grows very big. You remember some of the apps we built that they were too big. So with combined reducers, you get this separation as well. So I think this is the store configuration is simple enough, and I like this store configuration because it allows me to import store in services, for instance, like we did here in the news service, right? So I can actually dispatch directly from this service, which wasn't the case before, because like if you want to use the dispatch in
Module.
in your component, combined with with the with making Axios calls, then you have to use Redux Thunk. So this is an alternative to use middleware, right? Because here I'm not using Thunk to dispatch those functions, but I do it in a service, which could be also perceived by some people like a bad way of doing this. But I prefer it this way for now, at least. So I like that. And the second thing I kind of like is this slicer, because here you have everything in the same place, and you get those action creators for free, those actions, in the reducer. So you don't have to to issue those strings, or use create objects, switch cases, and everything like that. So it feels more programmatic, kind of. I like that.
More functional. Yeah. I mean, I since you're on this page, I'll concur, and I think there's an advantage also to setting the initial state in the same, maybe not, but to separate out the initial states to rather the component or part of the application that you'd be working with. Maybe it's slightly faster to see it here rather than to have to jump over into a directory, subdirectory, where it's all stored together, and then that can grow quite big too, I suppose. So this might be an easier way to digest it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
On the negative side,
let's go.
I think that they introduce way too many, perhaps not way too many, but see, it doesn't feel so intuitive. One of the things that we read on this page here was that this package was created to be a standard way to write Redux, because configuring Redux store is too complicated, and I have to add a lot of packages, and Redux requires too much boilerplate code. And in my opinion, I don't feel, to be totally honest, I don't feel that this is less complicated than the more traditional way of setting this up. I added, back in the days, we added Redux and React Redux, and perhaps Redux Thunk. So perhaps we just haven't explored all the functionality of this toolkit. But at this stage, there are, we used to add 2 packages, and we are adding 2 packages today as well, right? So it's the same amount of dependencies. And in terms of boilerplate, I feel that we write as, I mean, we haven't reduced the lines of code count in any way, or have we? I don't feel like we're writing less code.
No, I don't feel so either.
Yeah, that's my take on this, right?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, if you have an application that is doing divergent different things, or a team that, let's say that you have feature branches going off in all directions. If you want to work on a feature branch that uses Redux, or application state, but you don't want to you don't want to encounter a million different merge conflicts when it's time to bring it all together, or merge in development, whatever. This way, it won't, right? You won't get any merge conflicts if you're doing it correctly, which could be a nice thing. I mean, you still need to add a line in store.js, but...
Yeah, but that's the same thing. We need a reducer. You would, if you split everything into separate reducers, you would have done that too.
That is perhaps, yeah.
Disclaimer, having said all of that, we just scratched the surface. Apparently, what we use now is configure store.
We created slice.
Create slice.
Yeah.
Yeah, combines create reducer and create action. Okay, so yeah.
All right.
Okay, gotcha.
So there's some other stuff to
Right.
scratch out here, right?
Yeah. But this one is like create listener middleware, lets you define listener entries that contain an effect callback with extra logic. Should be based on dispatch actions or state changes.
Yeah.
To a lightweight alternative to Redux async middleware like sagas and observables. All right. So we will definitely look into this.
Yeah.
And create asynchronous thank, an action type string with a function that returns a promise. A generous thank that dispatches pending result rejected action type. Okay, so this is a alternative to thank.
Yeah.
Create entity and have to generate a set of reusable reducers and selectors to manage normalized data in the store. This is also interesting. Perhaps you can save a lot of like default stuff. And create selector utility from the reselect library, re-exported for what word is the reselected library? Reselect, create selector.
It exports or creates
right.
Selector functions.
Compute derived data libraries. Right, let's not open this to Pandora's box.
But yeah. I mean, but that could be interesting. Is it like pluck? I mean, what are we? Yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah, we'll figure out. You know, it's been an experience. We got it to work. I think this is, apparently these, the way people are setting up Redux now.
Okay.
There now, we do have a challenge for our students though at Craft Academy, Nomad's course, and that is very similar to what we do with class components. You don't write new applications using class components, but as a new developer on the job market, you need to work. You need to be able to work with legacy code, and that's the reason why one of the reasons why we teach class components still. And the question is, if you, I do understand that this toolkit is a attempt to standardize things, but out there you probably have millions of applications using the regular or semi-standardized way of setting up Redux, which probably differ. And this is the, without opening up that Pandora's box, because that's a long discussion, but the lack of standards in JavaScript world is staggering, in my opinion. So I welcome this kind of initiatives. I love it. We will probably still learn or teach our students to set up Redux in a semi-manual way, and then add this on top. That's my take on this at the moment, at least.
Yeah, it's a plan.
It is. Goody. This code base is up on GitHub. There will be a link provided for anyone who is interested. It is a little secret, although it's open source, because, or we will open source, because it is actually a test that we throw at some students. But it is what it is,
Well, we can tweak it slightly.
Yeah, we can tweak it
to still get a good challenge out of it.
Right. I did expose my API keys in this recording, so they will be regenerated soon. But I think it was a very valuable learning experience for me, at least.
Yeah, no, same.
Goody.
Yeah.
That will cover it for us. Thank you very much. Hit that subscribe button. Is that what we're supposed to say?
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, and there is you have to hit the bell to get notifications about any other new videos.
Yes.
Yeah, we're obligated by law to say that.
It's true.